This time we're doing a reaction video. This is Not the Shop podcast. It's a YouTube. I follow this guy on YouTube, Not the Shop podcast. He does some good content, so you guys can follow him, Not the Shop podcast. We're gonna do a reenactment to in the conversation he had with a male and a female about co-parenting, and I think it's a good conversation because as you can see today, co-parenting is a very common thing. It's something that's been happening for centuries. Um, and you guys already know I view things in a natural space or frame. So co-parenting is a natural thing. It happens. People. People pass. So the next guy would have to take over. The parenting of those children and be able to protect the woman. So with that said, we're gonna go with the conversation, and then gonna make my commentary to based on where I want to jump in.
Man, and the lovely Phoebe, man. We got them back. Y'all already know. These my homies is always been there. The love, you feel me? I appreciate y'all for coming out today, man. How y'all feeling?
BB got me drinking already, man, but I appreciate being here.
No, she got you drinking.
No,
Okay.
it's not true. And those of you who know me, it's too clear.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
So what's that, ice water?
Might as well be, but it's some tequila. Need my JMO.
Need something stronger, huh?
Whiskey.
Whiskey, okay.
No, she drink the whiskey, man. She's a whiskey drinker, man.
Dark, I like the dark.
I got him drinking tequila today, y'all, man. So you know what it is.
I'm not
Man, but,
responsible. Come out my mouth with this tequila.
So today, man, I wanted to talk about when it comes to relationships and dating, when it comes to blending families and dating with kids, right? So this is something that's new for me because I never dated a woman serious with kids. But I'm open to it now because of the fact that so this is my position, right? I'm too old to deal with a woman without kids, like taking the traditional, they say your man successful, you get him a young tenderoni. Ooh, that's cool to have fun with for me. But thinking realistically, I don't want to have no more kids. You know what I'm saying? And so chances are the woman that I'm going to choose are either going to have kids or grown and gone kids. You know what I'm saying? So I want to talk about like dating with kids. Have you ever dated a woman with kids?
Yeah, I want to jump in right here. He make a good point. I mean, there's a fun time and a good time. I don't. I'm not gonna say it can't work, because it's been ages for men and younger women to kind of bond together. In the older days, it was more like a traditional thing or a wealth situation, right, where you could marry your daughter into a wealthy family, so the families can be wealthy within that family. Or it could be the son. It's not always the daughter. It could be the son. I don't know why people think that it's a one-way street. For some reason, feminists always push the idea that women are pushed out to marry certain type of men when sons are pushed to do the same thing. We don't talk about the boys that are pushed to marry into relationships just to maintain wealth, right? Whether he wants the woman or not. You know what I mean? Most cases, yes, the woman will most likely be younger, and it happens when they're younger, it happens when they're older, but most cases is when they're younger. For the boys, it's the same thing. You know what I mean? In most cases, the boy will probably be older, of course. You know what I mean? But he marry into a relationship of a family, a rich family, to maintain the stagnant of income. Now, besides that part, it's it been a long not been a long normal age gap for relationships to work, but in these times, it's not naturally practiced in that sense. So, but the how should I say, the instinctual behavior of that thing still happens. It still happens where younger girls seek out older men for pleasure and support in that sense, while older men seek out younger women for beauty and a little fun time. Now, they do push this whole age thing, but I'm not even gonna get into that because I mean, long as she's 18 and she's legal to do what she want, she's gonna do what she want, and I don't think it matters if the woman choose to, if legally choose to go with a guy at a certain age. It doesn't matter. It doesn't bother to me. It doesn't matter to me. Every man have his choice of age he want to go to, so let's just leave it to. It's subjective. Let's leave it to every individual situation. I just don't think everybody should be on the same page. Um, Co-parenting now, as he was saying, going into the whole age thing as co-parenting as well. As you get older and you're looking for a serious relationship, I mean, like I said, it could happen in a younger age gap, but it's gonna be some differences because a younger woman gonna be more active unless she have a homebody type personality. But most cases, she's gonna be very active and very spontaneous and ready to just move around. And she might put some life in that guy. It happens. You think of this show called uh, Love Don't Judge or something like that. So you can see where it have happened, but normally it's better to find a female around within 10 to, I mean, some people say 5, but as you get older, I would say 10 years is not a bad distance. You know what I'm saying? So let's say she's 40 and you're 30. That's not a bad distance, you know what I mean? Or she 50, you're 50 and she's 40. Between that age, between 5 to 10 years, I would say. And most likely that kid would have kids. If the guy's in his 40s, most likely he'll look for one with kids specifically grown or probably not too grown, but somewhat grown. You know what I mean? And it's just that you have more compatibility. She already understands some things. The issue with that is, though, you still want to find a woman that's not promiscuous or was promiscuous. You know what I mean? Because we already know there's a stagnant, there's some issues with that type of situation. A woman with too many bodies, they don't tend to maintain relationships. They get bored very quickly because they had too many choices, too many things they like. And women go, see, women don't. One thing I want to say, this is a side note. They need to start admitting and stop lying to themselves. Women like things. Once a woman entertains something or entertain multiple things, it's become undecisive of what satisfies her. Because they're gonna always be something more, they're gonna always be something less, they're gonna be always that memory. And if a woman finds something, say she find a guy in the 40s, and say he's in his 45, whatever, if he's not as good as the guy she was with when she was in her 30s, or she met a guy when he was in his 30s, but she in her 40s, now she with a guy in her 40s. If this guy in the 40s doesn't compare with the guy in her third when he's 35, or when she was in her 30s, there's always that memory right there, right? And women tend to go based on how they feel of a situation, and it haunts them. It haunts them to the point where it's like, I would never be satisfied unless I can have this at least once in a while. You know what I mean? So which means the guy she's with, it's not a full loyalty. It's more of like he's just fit the criteria for now, and he has some benefits that she can be satisfied with. But the loyalty of like being fully committed and just being that man only, it's not gonna. It's really gonna be a struggle for her, and it's gonna be a hard thing for her to just like not think about the things that satisfy her. Because especially okay, here's an example. If you was a rich person and no longer rich, you're gonna be haunted to being rich. You're gonna just be like, yo, I want to be rich again. You know what I'm saying? And you're gonna strive for it no matter what. You're gonna always strive for that feeling because you already had it. You know what I'm saying? And that's the example I'm trying to make. So going into it, um, with the going back into the whole thing, yes, it's good to find somebody that fits your age or in your age group, that you can be compatible with. And when I say compatible, I don't mean exactly the same. I mean like somebody that you get along with, somebody that can be able to compromise and understand the situation. I already have some experience of being due to the age, experiences, and co-parenting that frame. So what he said right there makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, and you've dated a man with kids before? Like, I mean, seriously, not
yeah,
just seriously.
yeah.
Okay, so I'm very interested to know. I'm glad I got it from both perspectives when it comes to this issue because for me, this is new, and I'm kind of scared. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I don't,
You should be.
So my thing is, it took so long for me. I think it took too long for me to experience that for the first time. You know what I'm saying? Maybe if I'd have done it in my past, you know, I dated one woman, an older woman, in the past that had a son, but he went to jail. He wound up getting 30, 40 years or some shit. So he wasn't never even in the picture. He was young. He was like, he grew up with my son. They was same age. So I think he was like 13 or 14 or some shit. So that was my only chance, but he wasn't, like I said, there.
He wasn't there.
You know what I'm saying? So like, what are the challenges dating with kids and dating a woman with kids and y'all actually living together? What is that like?
It's like you're gonna do some adjusting early because you got you and your kids, and she's got her and her kids, right? And when you try to blend it normally as you can, it's like everybody has to get on the same program in terms of discipline, the expectations and stuff like that. Because I don't know about y'all, but my kid and relationships I had where I was auditioning to be stepdad was like, nah, you gotta get here and make your bed, clean your room up, wash these dishes, take the trash out, and you're gonna get resistance. So
Yep.
if you had that slow, gradual introduction to the kid's life, then getting on a program is not a problem because you gotta have a structured household. And I was raised that a divided house will never stand, and I really do truly believe that. But it starts with you and the mom, or you and the dad and stuff like that, and you guys got to get on one accord because kids are going to try to look for those cracks to get away what they want to do. You know what I'm saying? And you got to be a united front no matter what.
So like, how is it? Because
All right, so right here, what he said is very true too. Coming into a co-parent relationship, you got to get to know the person. I would say get to know the person a little bit. Give them a few months, maybe a year. I would say get to feel out the person you want to be. Because moving into dealing with the kids, it's gonna be a different conversation, a different process. So I would say slowly progress into, getting to like living in the same house. So I would say within a year or maybe 6 months to a year, you start getting to know the kids here and there, being around them very short term, short like I would say with the mom or with the dad, and spend a few hours or time with the mom and dad and the kids, and then you dip, you know what I mean? And then as time could progress, you spend more hours and time, like you said. But once things said and done and the decision is made, you sit the kids down and you have a conversation with them. You have a conversation with them, letting them know, like, I'm moving in. Y'all already got a feeling of who I am, but being in the household as a father, there's certain respect level towards the mom. We're gonna have to basically adapt to. You know what I mean? I would say you make a good point. You're gonna have to kind of like, don't force it. Don't just pop up like I'm your dad now, because it's not gonna work like that. So he do make a good point. And like I said, I base things in a natural state of frame. So if things was in a natural, if the majority of the population was raised in a dual family home, or a dual multiple family home where the man can have multiple wives. Like I said, I go from men are not monogamous, we're polygamous. So I to put things in a natural perspective, a man can have multiple wives and multiple children, or he could have a one wife and he could have multiple children. Either way it goes. But what I'm saying is that in any of those both subjects, I mean situations, a man coming in raising another man kids, you have to have some kind of slow process adaptation. Don't just jump in like I'm your dad. You know what I mean? Even if the mom is the one coming in, because the man could have kids on his side, the mom can't just come in and be like, I'm your mom now. You know what I mean? And I would say look for a mother who have kids already, or I would say most likely she have kids already. I mean, some women might say they want kids, and you might meet a girl who want kids, and that gonna be a process for her. If I were to me, if a woman coming in and she don't have kids, and you already have grown kids, it might be a problem because with good people, kids are teenage. They're a little bit more difficult than younger kids. You know what I'm saying? Younger kids are just a little bit more annoying. Older kids is like, you want to just yeah, you want to, they're gonna have a whole personality, and sometimes they kind of push away anybody that comes in, or to make the person wish they was in hell, or make them do not even want to have kids. So he makes a good point. Slow process, get to know the person, get to know the kids in a slow process, and then we go from there. But like I said, under the natural way though, we don't raise kids in a moral standpoint. We raise kids how we feel, or we nurture our kids the way society raised them. I say raise kids in a natural frame. Forget about society. Forget about how you feel. Forget about how the kids supposed to feel. Raise your kids the way they're supposed to be raised. Right? They're supposed to grow up with moralism. You wrong or right, not just how you feel, but how they're supposed to be raised. Right? You're supposed to raise your kids to respect and nurture. Respect the elders, respect the planet, and nurture the elders and nurture the planet. We're supposed to raise our kids that way, with manners, good behavior, all of that good stuff. Also, the most important part, raise your kids to understand themselves as human beings and biologically. They need to know the difference between man and woman. As a boy, you're going to do this. As a girl, you're going to do this. As a boy, you expect this. As a girl, you expect that. There's an expectation for male and female to get to become an adult. Yes, they have the LGBT situation. If they want to go into that realm, yeah, but they have to make that decision as they get older. You don't force kids to be something because kids gonna always want something. It's your job to raise them a certain way, and then they can make that decision as they get older, and based on their time frame. But I would still say respect them. Once they make the decision, you respect them because you did raise them the way you're supposed to. You know what I'm saying? So, with that said, yeah, he makes some good points.
When you discipline, do you feel uncomfortable disciplining other women's kids? Like, do you? Because like they're really not obligated to listen to you.
True.
They have to respect you, but they don't have to listen to you.
If you're in my house, you have to listen to me.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. This is where it get tricky at, right? However they act with their dad and their mom is pretty much how they gonna expect you to deal with it.
Then they
This
gotta be
is why
fucked
you
up.
have to
You
accept
see
your
what
role as being the
you
adult
see?
and being the parent.
Yeah, I understand it, but then
This
a
is
lot
not
of
your
women,
mother's house. It's
a lot of
mine.
women say,
Not to do that.
a man can't discipline my kids. I hear that a lot. So how as a man can you actually bring structure into a household with a woman with children when okay, so I feel like this: the more children, the more attitudes, the more opinions, the more demeanors. It's just a whole lot of different people in one spot that you got to get everyone on the court. That seems like that's hard.
It is hard. So I'm going to say this. He has a daughter. I have two. And we entered into each other's lives when the children were young. They're very close in age, my two daughters being the oldest. As far as the discipline goes, that was very hard. because the child will go, well, I won't even say she would go back and tell her mom, but her mom was the type that questioned her about everything that went on in our house while she was there. So then, if there was a situation and I had to correct her on something, you know what I mean, she would tell her mom, and the mom would make a big issue out of everything. So that became challenging as time went on, because I know this child is acting up. She knows that when she goes and tell her mom is going to call him. That's going to start an argument. Then he's going to come to me. Now, we're subject to go back and forth, because my thing is this. If I cannot discipline your child does not need to be in my house. I'm not going to let you do anything that I do not accept from my own two kids. I'm going to treat your child as if they're mine. I'm not, you know what I mean? Everything that my kids had when we went on vacations, when it came time for school, shopping, getting the supplies, all of that, got their hair done, clothes, that child never missed a beat. But when it came down to something that she didn't agree with, or she wanted to just do what she wanted to do, and she necessarily wasn't raised with a lot of structure on the opposite end. So when she tried to do that in my house, it became a problem. Now, switching it up with him and my girls, their father is involved in their life. And what he would do is say, you know what? Did you talk to their dad? I think you should let the daddy talk to him before I say something, because I don't want any conflict. And then there were times when they would actually sit down and discuss it together before they went to the kids, and then they would talk to the kids together. And what my ex-husband explained to them was that, you know, you're in his house. This is who your mother chose to be with. You're in his house, and you know right from wrong. And if he's giving you some type of guidance and structure, you need to respect him, because, you know what I mean, that's just, he's an adult, first of all, no matter what his position is or how, you know, what it is between us. He's an adult, so you have to show respect there. And it just kind of...
So for me, like right there, she makes up a point, and that's a good lady right there. She understands the concept of the situation, and men are rivals. You know what I mean? So when the women do be overprotective over the kids, which is a natural thing for them to do, and so do men, right? So, but what I'm saying is that the peacemaking is the key part. So I do respect that. It's not all co-parenting comes off this way, but I think they all should have some kind of understanding. And also too, with some guys, they don't have the emotional capacity to deal with or have conversations with. So my thing is, if I think that woman should stay with that guy if that's the case. You know what I'm saying? I mean, as long as it's not dangerous or whatever, but they should stay with that guy if that's the case, because for every man that comes around, he gonna be a problem, and we don't want that. And I don't want to be in a relationship where I read about the father coming back trying to destroy me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to go through that argument with another man over and over again, especially me raising his kids and taking care of his kids the way I would take in my own kids, but yet he's not really giving the kids the love that he deserves to give them. And then the kid is now using that type of situation for me and his dad to put, nah, I'm not doing that. The second thing to add to that is the mom is not adding to the disciplinary or adding to my structure. Like I said, in nature there's a structure, right? The man have the dictatorship over the children generally, and then the woman follow up. She do have her own way of doing things, of course, which we just let that happen because she have to give the nurturing side. But at the same time, the man is the result to everything, right? So, and I mean, I know people don't like to hear it like that, but when you have a good man, a real man, I'm gonna say a real man, a man with structure, a man with good leadership, a man with good fatherly skills, a man with, who have good masculinity, he know good knowledge, you know what I'm saying, um, good wisdom, all of that good stuff. He know how to move and how to operate. You know what I'm saying? So he's gonna try and raise these kids the best way he can implement it in their lives. As well as the woman, right? And the woman have to be comfortable enough to allow those things to happen, because women don't do things the way men do. They either over forced it or under forced it, and it become an unbalance. You know what I'm saying? And then again, men need to follow men to have some kind of understanding of their own agenda. Same thing for women. But if it's opposite, where the agenda for men is either too hard or too soft, it can go bad. And the same thing for the woman, whether she's too soft or too hard, it can go bad. Abuse comes into play on both sides, right? So she make a good point. Now, a part of that I want to hit on that's more important than anything else. The same way the dad and the mom can come, the mom and the dad, the two dads can have a sit down and have a conversation where they're communicative towards each other in a respectful way, and the dad is allowing this man. I mean, I say allowing, I don't mean like he allowing him, but he's having a respectable conversation where he know that his kids live in this man's house, and the man have to implement his rules and his structure. You can't be a stepdad. You can't be an external dad, right? You live on the outside, right? And your kids live with a Pacific, household, and your dad outside is telling the inside dad what to do and how to do it. That's his house. You know what I'm saying? He paying the bills. You're not paying the bills. You're just sending some money here and there. You know what I mean? But he still have to deal with the kids' emotions, behaviors, and all these extra things. If that's the case, and if you don't like that, then you need to take the kid and live with you. And then you deal with the kid the way you best way you know how. So, and that happens a lot. And that's what I'm saying. There's an unbalance of nature when, I mean, it's going to happen regardless, really and truly, but the unbalance is that women pushing this whole single mom thing, and they're out here, they don't have a disciplinary sexual lifestyle, right? They're very promiscuous, and and then they reach the age where they just randomly want to have kids or whatever the case is, or just have kids just with random people, or people they don't even desire to be with, or people that they wanted to be with but they're just not disciplined themselves to even be in a relationship. They end up with kids, and then they want other men to take care of the kids of this other person, but yet the person who they have kids doesn't have a disciplinary personality. So now the man coming in gonna have to struggle to, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. You're gonna have to deal with the kids on your own, and I'm just gonna be the guy that pops up. But on the flip note, like I said, it's a respect thing that she said, that the two men communicate with each other, and then they can sit down with the kids together. That's a powerful piece right there. The two men sit down together, the two dads, right? Sit down together and then have a powerful conversation with the children, so the children can see on both sides. They can't play the two dads, right? As well as the mom doing the same thing. The difference is mom are very petty, so it's kind of hard for a lot of women to really do that. I mean, look at the Alicia Keys situation. I thought that, they come off strong, but then behind closed doors, you see that one is trying to overthrow the other. I just think that Alicia Keys should just let Swiss have his two. You know what I mean? If you're gonna work that way, let the man have his two women. You be his wife, and she be his co-wife. His second wife to you. And then, we can work from it. You have kids by both of these women. They're both already in your house. Make it work. Make it work. You know what I mean? Take that jealousy away, because you want Swiss to be happy, right? Like, I mean, you know what? We're going to talk about that another time, because that's a polygamy situation. We're going to leave that conversation out. Let's just focus on the co-parenting. So, with the women, women are very petty. They're gonna struggle a little bit more, jealousy, stuff like that. But on the men's side, it's a very powerful thing. And due to the fact that the men are the leaders, or the more want to take the stronger position in the relationship, yeah, they should be the one to hold everything down and basically set the rules and structure in the house, and they're doing it together. That show a powerful situation. And the women have to follow in line too. She can't use the men against each other, and she can't use her feminine ways to say, well, this is my child and that. Not. If you want a man, that's just what's gonna happen. If a woman have a child and she move on to another man, the other man is now gonna take the position of the first man, and he gonna have to raise your kids as if it's his, which means he gonna set the structure and rules. And yes, some punishment gonna be involved. Now, speaking about punishment, you could have conversation with the dad of like what type of punishment or how far. That's what I will do. You know what I mean? If I had to deal with a co-parenting situation, I would deal with the dad, and be like, listen, the kid live with me. There gonna be points in time where he gonna get his butt whooped. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just letting you know it's gonna happen. If you have a problem with that, then you're gonna have to take the kid to live with you. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not gonna allow a kid to live with me and be disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? So if you have an issue with that and you want to, you don't like the fact that your kid gonna get his butt whooped, you have the conversation and say, boom, boom, boom. But if the dad have a problem with it, then hey, or you might not just have to be with that female because she gonna have to make a decision. You know what I'm saying? The dad gonna have to make a decision. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to have this beef back and forth with how somebody or a kid live in the house with me, and I can't punish them or discipline them. You know what I'm saying? Now, even if it's me on the outside and somebody was raising my kids, and I was the type guy on the outside, I would have to come to those terms. You know what I mean? Like he lived with the person, so I can't like tell this man you can't do. Now, of course, there's limitations to the punishment. Like you learn, if you know this man could control himself, or you know what I'm saying, he's not overly aggressive with the situation because some dads are over aggressive, right? Then that's where you go into that. But long as it's with discipline and control, I don't think it should be a problem. You know what I mean? And I mean some dads might be a little heatable than others, but if anything, with that said, you might just tell him go live with his father for a couple of days, or hey, the punishment could be that he can live with his dad for a few days, and see that living with his dad is gonna be worse than what it is with me. You know what I mean? So, with that said, I'm gonna end the conversation. But yeah, you guys could check out Not the Shop podcast. He does a lot of good conversations and stuff like that. He more focused on the local, inner terms of family and things that really happen in real life, real situations. So I like his show. I like his podcast show, and they have real conversations. You know what I mean? Um, but like I said, bring things back to nature. We have a structure. All human beings have a structure on this planet. We know we have a design of how we're supposed to live. Man, woman, children, and there's a disciplinary behavior that comes with that, right? And yes, it could be boring, it could be tacky, whatever, but no relationship is perfect, and relationships can be boring, and it can be some hardships or struggles in between there. Your position is just to work it out, stay strong, and be loyal to the person that you're with. The love is gonna grow. Love is not something that you don't fall in love with somebody and think you'll be with them forever. Love is an emotional feeling, something that comes and goes. The loyalty is the key part that you focus on, because it gets longer. The respect gets longer, and the commitment gets stronger. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to lose. Once you commit to somebody, and then you start trusting that person, which means brings loyalty in the conversation, and then the loyalty and that loyalty can bring, well, between trust, the commitment to trust, the loyalty, and then that could mix everything stronger together. So with that said, I'm saying, you guys, let me know how you like the video, share, subscribe, and then we're gonna focus on the next times we come on to the next reenactment. Peace out. Life, peace out, peace out.